Hello, hello! Today it is Wednesday, February 11, and I am doing my daily walk. It's typical Dutch weather, grey and wet. It's not raining now, but I brought my umbrellas because we expect some rain. It's actually the perfect knitting weather. I hope I will be back home when it starts knitting. No, when it starts raining. So I can start knitting dry. It is actually really nice weather for a good daily walk because I think when it's grey and wet there's a lot of oxygen in the air. I feel very healthy right now, so that's that's a good thing, I guess. I realized I am wearing a lot of handmade items. I counted them and I counted 12 handmade items. 1 sewn, 1 crochet and 10 knitted. I must confess I counted my mittens and Legwarmers and socks as single ones, but of course they are pairs. But yeah, I thought it would be nice to tell you a little bit about my outfit during my walk. Okay, let's start on top. I am wearing the best headband. It's a headband pattern designed by a Dutch knitter. Her name is Linda, also known as Wool Hobby. She gifted me the pattern and the yarn, her own hand-dyed yarn, and I love wearing it. I'm also wearing my balaclava, the Grandmacore Hood, a pattern by Kika. It's really one of my favorite winter accessories. I'm wearing a crochet shawl, which I made up myself. When I only did some crochet, I loved to, and not really design, make my own recipes. I think you can call it like that. I'm also wearing a Hobbiton vest, dyed in a beautiful color, also by a Dutch dyer, Marleen from Lindelicht. Red tiger eye. I love gemstones, so it's really nice to have this color. You see all the different shades. It's hard to catch it on camera, I guess, but I love it. And my Syli cardigan. It's also one of my favorite throw over cardigans. I burned it and made some embroidery. So yeah, I really love it. And I'm also wearing, let's turn the camera. I'm also wearing my handmade dress, which really makes me happy. And Legwarmers, as always. And also some handmade socks. Those are extra long slouchy socks, also dyed by a Dutch dyer. Her name is Atelier Lindelicht, and I knitted them in twisted rib. I'm a combination knitter. I use combination knitting, and that makes knitting rib very easy and relaxing. I'm wearing the most ugly shoes, but I don't love ugly shoes, but my husband is a hiker and he gave me this pair of shoes and they walk heavenly, so yeah. That's more important, of course. I'm also wearing my fingerless mittens. It's a pattern by one of my knitting friends, Marleen. I really love them, but I noticed recently that they are a little bit damaged. The bind off is damaged. So yeah, I think I just need to rip out the bind off and do it again. But I wear them daily in this time of the year. I think it's pretty cool to wear so many woolly layers. Yeah, I feel very good in them. It started raining right now. It's more a bit, I think you call it a drizzle. In Dutch we call it motregen, that very fine, thin rain, which can make you very wet. I think it's good for my hair. My curls love rain, so I will be grateful when I'm back home. But now I need to put on my umbrella and we finish our walk. See you later! Okay, I am back home and I planned to finish this knitting project today. This is the No Purl Ribbed Scarf, a free pattern by Purl Soho. I casted it on quite recently and it was meant as a stash buster. I am knitting this scarf with 4 strands of fingering weight yarn held together. I have quite some yarns in my stash, commercial sock yarns and also a little bit other fingering weight leftovers, which are not really hard jumping to me color wise at the moment. They are actually perfect to knit scrappy socks, but I knitted so many scrappy socks in 2025 that my belly is full of that. So I wanted another project to knit these scraps away. I really love making scrappy projects, but I also love to keep my scrappy stash moving every now and then. And knitting this scarf with 4 strands of yarn was supposed as, yeah, quite a big stash buster. But I must confess, it is 1 strand too much. It is a little bit hard on my hands to knit with, and also the fabric is quite heavy. I am knitting on 6mm needles, and that's the right size for 4 strands of fingering weight yarn. Yeah, but my hands are hurting a little bit when I knit for a longer time on this scarf, and I think the scarf is also quite thick. I would love a little bit of a lighter weight fabric, and I think 3 strands of yarn would be perfect. So instead of knitting a long straight scarf as I planned to do, I decided to make a shorter caul shawl. It's been a while since I knitted a caul shawl. I actually don't know if I ever did. I did crochet a few, but it's so long ago and I cannot remember what the right length is for a caul shawl, so I checked my Ravelry library. I own a pattern of Andrea Maury. I think it's called the mirrored caul shawl. I never knitted it, but I checked the length C advices to decide how long I want this caul shawl to be, and I think by head it was 74 or 75 centimeters. I'm not there yet, so I need to knit a few centimeters extra. I really love the stitch pattern of the No Purl ribbed scarf. As the title of this pattern is telling you, you are knitting a ribbed scarf without any purl stitches. You only use knit stitches and every now and then you slip a stitch without knitting. And those slipped stitches, they create a beautiful little V-shaped ridge every now and then, and the garter stitches in between are looking like purl stitches, and it's really easy to knit, and it's really rhythmic. But if, as you probably can see, I am messing up every now and then. I am fixing some mistakes right here. It's quite easy to discover a mistake when you miss the slip stitch or you counted wrong. I think when a rhythm is very easy, you don't really have to think about it. Sometimes I got distracted and I make mistakes anyway, especially with the very easy stitch patterns. When it's a little bit more complicated, I need to keep my attention really to my knitting. But with this pattern, I am thinking about other things, or I am chatting or watching something, and then there is a chance I will make a mistake anyway. But again, it is not really hard to fix it. The only challenge with holding 4 strands of yarns together is that you need to catch every strand. It looks as if I am really struggling with the stitch pattern. That was only in this piece when I filmed it. It is really a beginner-friendly pattern. When I reached the right length, I started binding off my stitches because I didn't plan to knit a coal shawl. I didn't do anything special with the cast on and the bind off to attach the pieces to each other. So I decided to just do a regular bind off and sew the ends together. It's always a little bit no, not always. It's not always, but it can be a challenge to find the right bind off for the right project. But this time it was working out very nice because I started with the regular bind off on just my needles where I was knitting with, and yeah, it worked out pretty good. Sometimes it can take a few tries before you found the right way, which really is how you want it to be. But this time I was lucky. Before I closed the side seam, I did weave in all the yarn ends. There were quite many of them. What I did do every time I needed to change colors with one of the four strands of yarn, I knitted a few stitches together. So I knitted a few stitches with 5 strands of yarn, and then I dropped the older one, and yeah, it is secured, but the yarn ends, they need to be woven in a little bit more. I have no idea how they will hold up. I am a little bit worried that they will sneak out, but we will see. Just as the mirrored coal shawl by Andrea Maury, I wanted to make a möbius coal shawl. I actually didn't really know where the name möbius came from. I know a möbius coal shawl has a twist in it, but I had no idea what the name was based on. So I searched for it, and the möbius coal shawl is based on the möbius shape, which is something discovered by a German mathematician. I think you say it like that. In Dutch we say wiskundige. Mathematics is wiskunde in Dutch. His name is August Möbius, and he discovered this shape with one twist of 180 degrees in, I think it was 1750 or something. So I learned a little bit. That was interesting. The reason why I want this coal shawl to have a twist in it was because I think it will give it a nice look. It is too short to twist it twice around your neck, and I think with one twist it will provide the shape a little bit. I never have done that before, so I'm very curious how it will work out. I close my side seam just with an easy, is it called the mattress stitch? I don't know. As I said, it was not a planned coal shawl, so I tried to sew it down as neat as possible. And one of the things in knitting or crocheting or whatever, sewing, is that as long as what you do is rhythmic, it will look nice. So I really checked every now and then if the right stitches were laying against each other. So I would sew straight, and with just doing the same over and over again, I would create a rhythmic side seam, even if I have no idea, even if I had no idea if it would be a right side seam or not. Also because I'm knitting with 4 strands of different yarn colors, it is looking messy anyway. When you are knitting with a plain yarn or just one color, it will be more markable, this side seam, but the details, they will disappear in all the things that are happening color-wise. Because I twisted the coal shawl once, the fabric, the pattern, the stripes are not lining up because there is a twist in it. So the V-shaped ridges, they need to be in the middle of the other purl stitches. Do you know what I mean? When I would knit a straight coal shawl, they would line up, but now because of the twist, yeah, it is looking different. But again, as long as I do it rhythmic, it will be okay. Okay, we have a finished object. I don't own a caul shawl, I think, at the moment. I did wear them quite a lot many years ago, but the longer ones you could twist twice around your neck, and this is a shorter one. I don't know what I think about it yet, so let's try it on. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is how a caul shawl is meant to be. My first feeling is that it's too wide for me. It's a little bit in between. I would love it to have a little bit closer around my neck. I think on the other side, yeah, it actually can be quite nice to wear inside. I don't know. How do you wear a caul shawl? No, it's not like this. I can imagine it's nice and warm under a jacket this way. And when you wear a jacket with a zipper, you can close it. But I don't wear jackets with zippers. But it was also not meant as a caul shawl for myself. It was just meant as a scrap buster. No, sorry, a stash buster for scrappy yarn. I have mixed feelings about it. Yeah, working on it was nice. The colors, I have my doubts about the colors. On the other side, it has the perfect scrappy look. The feeling is nice. Maybe it's nice for my father. I don't know. It just feels, I don't know. Maybe it's just not my style. But it is. I can imagine it will wear lovely. I will try it on my husband. He will definitely not wear this. But my father, he's very knit-worthy. Maybe he loves a colorful caul shawl. Or maybe I have a friend who will love it. I don't know. I don't know. One of the last things I always do when I finished a knitting or crochet project is make a page in my knitting book. I really love my knitting books. This is, I think, my 6th. And when I started using a knitting book, I used it in between for making all my notes. I don't do that anymore. I have another book for it, another notebook for my quick notes. Counting rows and all that kind of stuff. But I really love to make a page when I finish the project. Just it's a little bit of, yeah, I think a journal. I also use Ravelry and I have all my project pages quite updated. I also end the project page when I finish one of my projects, and I really love my Ravelry project pages for searching for some information for myself and also for sharing my notes with other people. But I want to have offline project pages as well. I think my knitting books are my biggest victory when it comes to perfectionism. I used to be someone who started over every time I did something wrong, and when I thought it looked messy, and yeah, I wanted to have a daily journal since I was a child, but I never made it because I was so hard on the perfect pages. But since I received a knitting book from my youngest girl 8 years ago, I was able to let go the perfectionism, and now I have the imperfect, perfect knitting book. My notes are so messy, my drawings, they are so messy, but they are making me so happy, and it was really a great lesson for me as a perfectionist that messy things can be hard jumping as well. I must confess, this drawing, yeah, I think it catches my feeling about this möbius caul shawl. It was really hard to draw the möbius shape. I was not able to do that, and also catching all the colors. Yeah, it was not something I was successful in, and my drawing is really, really bad. And maybe my feeling about the caul shawl is also a little bit bad. I really love the process, so it's not a waste of time, definitely not. But I don't know what to feel about the end result. It's definitely not hard jumping to me, but it's okay. I don't regret it, even not the messy drawing in my knitting book. It actually makes me laugh because I think, it's symbolizes my feeling about the caul shawl. But it still was a good thing to knit on. I really love to start my day with some knitting. You see all my projects right here. It's actually looking quite messy. But at the moment, I start my day with knitting on my Northeasterly blanket. It is my memory blanket. I save all the fingering weight scraps in this basket. Sometimes I need to share it with Mats. You could see that a few episodes back. But we are okay right now. So I'm really enjoying working on this blanket. It's a long-term project. I casted it on in 2019, at the end of 2019. So it's my longest whip, and I don't have any hurry to finish it. But I discover quite a big mistake at this moment. Okay, it is Thursday morning, and I just discovered a huge mistake in my Northeasterly blanket. It is my start of the day knitting project at the moment. I haven't worked on this blanket for months, and I picked it up, I think, 2 weeks ago. And I started with adding a new column to this blanket, and it was supposed to be on this side, but I did do something different. I didn't notice at all, but I was at this blue part, and I thought, what did I knit in blue quite recently? Because my Northeasterly blanket is a memory blanket, and this is the start. I think in 2018 or 2019, I knitted my husband a pair of socks, and this is the first start. This is the first column of my Northeasterly blanket. So I thought, oh no, I'm knitting on the wrong side. It's supposed to be here because it's chronological. I always check my project page on Ravelry to see which project is next, should be next. But I remember that something was feeling weird when I was attaching this column to this point. But I just thought, okay, it's been a while. I forgot how it was supposed to be, and I didn't notice this. And even when I realized it was the wrong side, I didn't notice it. But my youngest girl, she said, but it's the wrong way. The arrow is pointing the other way. And then I noticed it myself as well. And I thought, oh no. So I was very disappointed. And I thought, oh no, I have to go back. I have to rip it out. And then I realized, no, I don't have to. It's my own blanket. It is... Oh, sorry, that's my belly making noise because I should have breakfast. I'm sorry, I have a very noisy belly. Then I realized that it's actually quite nice. I think this stubborn... I think you say it like that. Stubborn. In Dutch we say eigenwijs, your own way. I think this stubborn part of my Northeasterly blanket symbolizes a part of me, my stubborn part. So, yeah, it's the Sarah sauce. I have to do my best to accept it. My handle is that I always say I'm an imperfect perfectionist. So, be what you say you are, Sarah. leave it there. It's just your personal touch. I will make some breakfast. I am excited because, as you probably can see, I am binding off. So it is time to finish my New Year's project, my Kerr sweater. And yeah, I am so much looking forward to wear this sweater. The yarn feels so good. I knit it in I think it's the Antonia yarn from Roll Up the Sheep. I bought it at Knitfest in Switzerland in November 2025, and I always love to cast on a lighter project color-wise on January 1st, and this one was my New Year's cast on for 2026. And yeah, I just loved the yarn. I loved working on it. I had some problems with the sleeves. They were too wide. I have a Kerr sweater already. I knitted it. The Kerr sweater is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. I knitted it as a test knit a few years ago. I can't remember exactly when. And I really love the fit. And I knew the fit of this sweater would be different because the yarn is a little bit thicker and the gauge is different. But I thought it would be a good idea to go a size, now not a size up, to make the garment a little bit bigger, because quite often I make my garments quite fitted. Yeah, for the sleeves it didn't work out, but I re-knitted the sleeves. I told in my episode last week, I guess. I'm not quite sure. But I am knitting size 3 and I decided to follow the instructions for the sleeves for size 2. And that's actually perfect. I'm really happy with the sleeves. So I can't wait to see how the final fit will be. So let's bind off some stitches. Okay, it's always kind of exciting when you fit your final garment. I did quite some fitting sessions in between, so it will not be a complete surprise, but it's been a while. So I based the length of the body on other garments, but it looks a little bit on the short side, so I have no idea how it will turn out. I am doubting about the length. It feels as if it's too short and I cannot really get it because I based the measurements of this garment lengthwise on other garments I have. So I picked my original Kerr sweater to do some extra measurements and also check the fit of that one because I really love the fit of that one. I knitted the body 25 centimeters, including the ribbing, I think. I'm not quite sure by head. I did make notes. I checked all the measurements of other garments and yeah, round about 25 centimeters is my go-to. I can wear it on dresses and on skirts. So I am a little bit confused and I'm now checking the whole body measurement from the upper neck until the bottom to compare it, and they are actually quite similar. So I cannot really understand why it feels so different. And I will fit my black Kerr sweater to check the length. Yeah, I really love the look of this one. I can wear it on my skirt and on my dresses. So I don't really get what's the problem with my white one. So I am fitting over and over again to check if I can find why the black sweater is perfect and the white sweater is not feeling perfect at all. And at this point I thought maybe it's the color, because a lighter color, it can feel so much different from a darker color, and I'm used to wear darker colors. So I'm really not happy with how this one is. I casted off the half amount of stitches, so my needles are still in. And I think I'm now at a point where I discover what the problem exactly is. It's not the color, but it's the width of the sweater. My bust circumference is much wider on the white one than on the black one. I think it's definitely a difference of a few centimeters. And I think that influences the fit, and that's why I don't really like it. As you can see, it's quite a difference, and I think because the white one is really some centimeters wider than the black one, it's out of balance. The combination of the length and the width, yeah, it's not in balance anymore, and that's why it's not looking as I want it to be. So after going back and forth a few times between the sweaters, I decided to undo the bind off. I didn't complete the bind off yet. I only was binding off the half amount of stitches. So I decided to undo the bind off, put my stitches back on the needle again, and add some centimeters. And I didn't want to rib the whole ribbing, so I decided just to add some extra ribbing centimeters. I think I knitted 10 or 12 rounds of ribbing, and I decided to knit the same amount of rounds as on my sleeves. I will do 20 rounds of ribbing. Yeah, ripping out your bind off in this yarn is not really a problem. It's not really slippery yarn, so the stitches, they won't go anywhere. They will be twisted every now and then, or maybe I miss one strand, but I will fix it in the first round I will knit after undoing the bind off. Okay, my sweater, my Kerr sweater is finished. I think it is. It's not completely. I need to weave in the yarn ends. I just finished the ribbing, and something is happening right here, as you probably can see. I need to see how it will be blocked. I did some decreases in the first round of the ribbing, so you see the puckering part right here, and I hope when I block it and I will pin the ribbing down so it will stretch out a bit, that puckering will disappear. As you probably have seen, is that I was comparing the fit of this sweater with my black one I already made. I might look a little bit, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. My nose is stiffy, sniffy, snotty. I don't know. I have a cold. Yeah, the problem is the ease in the body. I made it wider than I normally do, and I don't think it was a good choice with this one. I am happy with the sleeves right now. They have the fit I want them to have, but there is too much ease right here. Maybe it will be okay when I have blocked it. I'm not quite sure. I added some length, so the ribbing is longer than I had planned. It's the same length as the cuff ribbing. I think I like it. Yeah, I have. I'm sorry. I have mixed feelings. But yeah, let's see how it will block and how it will be right then. Maybe it's also the color which makes me doubt, because it's light color and I prefer to wear darker garments, and I love the color, I love the yarn, it feels so nice and comfy and cozy, but it feels a little bit unfamiliar. Yeah, so let's weave in some yarn ends and let's block this sweater. It is finished. I have a finished object again. That's what I wanted this week. Finish some things. I don't think there will be another finished object. But it feels very nice to have some things off my needles. If you want to know how the result of my sweater was after blocking, please check my Dutch episode of this week. You can watch it with subtitles. I can tell you, I'm not quite sure if this project is already finished. I was really feeling under the weather this weekend. I was not ill, but I had a pretty good cold. Um, and I felt very low energized. Actually, the perfect circumstances for some couch knitting. I cancelled all my appointments. And I felt good enough for knitting. I was not sick, I didn't have a fever. I just was very tired and snottery all over the place. So I did a lot of knitting and I was really longing for some comfort knitting. So I picked up some knitted socks. I have 2 pairs on my needles. No, that's not true. I have 3 pair of socks on my needles. And sock knitting is really my easy peasy travel go to knitting. But every now and then I am at that point that I need to pay a little bit more of attention. For example, when I'm at the heel or at the toe. And most of the time, I just need to check what I need to do, how many how many rounds I used for sock number 1, how many rounds do I need for the size I wanted to knit, and quite often the knitting process it drops. There's nothing happening anymore, and this can take a while, but this was the perfect weekend to update all the socks on my needles, finish one, finish another one, cast on one. So we are back on track, and I really love that feeling as well. I'm knitting away some commercial sock yarn. This is sock yarn from Wool Addict. It was gifted to me, and it's actually quite a nice yarn. It's a merino sock yarn and it feels very soft. The colors are quite bright, but I love knitting with it anyway. And I don't have plans with these socks. I don't have a specific person in mind. I am knitting them in size 39, so I can give them away at a certain point. I would love to have a basket filled with all the socks that I can use for some gifts, gift knitting with no stress. This is another pair of socks. It is on my needles for quite a while. These are for myself because the yarn was gifted to me by one of the kids when it was Mother's Day. I don't need socks, but of course I will keep them myself. The love of my kid is in this sock yarn. It was on my needles since our summer holiday, and I just made a little mistake. I knitted the leg a little bit too long. And that was why the process of this sock completely dropped. It was somewhere in a corner of a basket, and suddenly I realized that I just need to frock a little bit and knit the heel and make it back on track. And also I want to empty my needles. I started these socks on shorties, but I picked them up with magic loop again. Magic loop is really my favorite way of sock knitting. I am a shorties wannabe. I can knit on shorties, but it's not feeling as comfortable as knitting on magic loop. I want to finish this sock this weekend. It's the second one, so I have a finished pair of socks and I have 3 needles because I really want to start the pink socks for my little niece this week. So this is actually how I spent most of my weekend. We made a beautiful hike as well, but the rest of the weekend I was just sitting and knitting, and it really worked out pretty good because my cold is almost over. I feel much better right now. So knitting always helps. Of course, it is the season of the flu and the colds and whatever. So yeah, please follow my advice. When you feel good enough, take enough time to knit or crochet, and you will feel better pretty soon. I am working on another new knitting project right here. It was quite an impulsive cast on. I felt really inspired to knit away some stash again, so I casted on a sweater for my little niece. It's a flex sweater, and of course, I will tell you all about it in another episode. But for now, this was it for this week. If you want to see more, please check out my Dutch episode. Again, you can watch it with subtitles. If you miss your language, please let me know and I will check if I can add it. If you have a question about anything you have seen in this episode, please check the show notes. I linked all the things I talked about down below. You can also check all my Ravelry project pages. I try to keep them as updated as possible. If you have other questions about my creative projects or maybe about your own knitting or crochet projects, you are also more than welcome to join the Heart Jumping Friday membership. I make an extra episode every Friday in which I answer all your questions, and I really love making them. So if you are a Heart Jumping Friday member, I am so grateful for all of you to have you there. You can find more information about the membership down below in the show notes as well. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here. I wish you a wonderful week filled with a lot of heart-jumping moments. And remember, if you can't find them, create them because we need them. Bye bye!